Alrighty, we are gonna be live here. Awesome 3D printing and painting for the win. That's what it's all about. Hi, I'm Steve, the retired hobby tech guy, American expat, living my best life now in Korea. So yeah, we're having a good time here. Just got back from the gym, had lunch, all filled up with food and ready to go. I really wanted to take a nap, but I figured, you know what, I'm gonna drive through. I'm trying to get another video in, and this is kind of good because we're going to go over a couple of things. The first thing is what just finished printing out, and with that, can we bring that in? We can see what's going on. Hey, George is back. Hey, how's it going, George? Let's see if we can figure out what's going on. Previously, we had talked about how I had purchased these acrylic pens. 60 of them from Just Art. Ends up that they're, is that it? There it is, Just Art, and dual tip acrylic markers. And I've seen a lot of good reviews on them. So I figured, you know what, holidays, I'll buy a pack and see what happens. They seem to be pretty good, but they need to be stored. You can't like put them in a cup and hold them like that. They have to be stored like this because you have a cap on this end and a cap on this end. So if you put it this, all the paint will run down and this will dry out and that will be bad. So what I ended up doing is coming through with Tinkercad and making a pen holder, a vertical pen holder. And so we're going to take a look at that. So with that said, let's just jump right into it. And there it is. I went through a variety of different ones. The red one here was the first iteration. And that came out to 585 grams. And it was like, the problem was with these circles, you would need supports. And so I thought, well, I need to remove some material. I didn't think about the circle thing until later. So then I did this one here, and this one is transparent. But as you look down here, I took out a bunch of material here, and I thought, well, that'll make it easy. That'll take out material. It was late at night. I didn't realize that it would need supports to print that, and so it actually ended up being more at 400 or 620 grams of filament. So yeah, I spent a lot of time, much ado about nothing. So we continued on, and then I was like, okay, well, I remembered a video from a long time ago. A guy's talking about how to design things for your prints so that you don't need supports. And so I remembered this. And so instead of doing the circle, what I ended up doing is doing this little teardrop thing. But we ran into a problem with the teardrop because right on that edge there, it was too abrupt and you would need supports. And it would print without supports, but it was a little ugly and I wanted it a little bit more polished. So that came out to, what was it, 413 grams. For that, so we're kind of on the right path, but I wanted to correct it, and then we ended up on this one here. If I can get down here. Okay, so we did this one here, and I redid those little things, as we can see here, and it came out so much better. So we did a little test print with these. They came out great, and it was like, we got a tiny bit of a line, but you can't notice it on the print. And the better thing is that we didn't need supports. So when we did this, and then the other thing we ended up doing is we took out some more material. We took out some on the sides and some in the middle compared to the previous version. Didn't need all that real estate. It's like that's just wasted material. And so we did that, and then we replicated that on the top as well so we could get rid of some material. Again, for the whole reason of not wasting so much material. So this one ended up, and it came out to 407 grams, 0.2 layer height, 5% with any adaptive cubic infill, and your mileage may vary depending on filament and other settings and things like that. So, but yeah, generally we had it set for wall generator, set for, what was it, classic. And we could go over some things as far as that, I guess we can. So if we take a look at, boom, there we are. 0.2 layer height, and everything is pretty much stock defaults until, yeah, that's where you end up going. So with the Creality K2 Plus, we're using Creality Print, by the way. We used 3 wall loops, so that should be good. We did 5% infill with adaptive cubic. Played around with some different ones, but I think this should be good enough. And then everything else on there is default. And then first layer speeds. The only thing I changed was this one here for the 10 and 25%, set that at 60. Nothing really big. I probably even wouldn't worry about that. Now, here's the cool thing. No supports. We don't need any supports on this thing. This thing prints out. And of course, we had to cut it in two, but that's how that came out. And yeah, I think this is going to turn out to be pretty good. Let's see, some other things on there, no changes. We did not enable the prime tower because we're only doing one color. And then, yeah, brim, we just set it to auto. But with these little dowels that we end up having here that are printed as part of the connectors to connect those two pieces up, there is set on objects. And we did that, if we click that object, we can go down here and we can see that there's an outer brim. So I didn't want those to, I wanted those to be solid. We've got enough real estate on the others that we didn't have to worry about that. So yeah, there it is. And yeah, we can see tits up, tits out are always good. So those are the settings. And can we reconnect? I don't know. Can we see? Can we see the live broadcast? Reconnecting, maybe. I don't know. Oh, it's got to go through. It's got to catch up through this whole thing, so it's going to take a while. But it did print, and it ended up taking 15 hours and 36 minutes, 409 grams filament. So for what I pay for filament here in Korea is $8.18, and boom, we will have this. So what we're going to do, so we took it into Tinkercad. We made it in Tinkercad, which is really cool. And then, yeah, we're going to end up taking this and going and seeing the print and taking it off the plate. We'll go over to the thing over here and show you what it looks like. And hopefully it turns out good. So with that, yeah, looking good. I like it. I like it a lot. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to take this contraption here. Put this around my neck. Does that look cheesy or what? And what we're going to end up doing is this is the phone. So now we're going to go get the print. And I know the camera is kind of crazy looking. It's not like a wide angle camera. I'm not sure why. But here it is. And yeah, 15 hours and 21 minutes, 409 grams. And oh, there it is. Look at that. There it is. There it is in all its glory. So we're going to go ahead and take this. And we're going to continue over here. And we're going to throw down. We're going to put this thing together. And we will give that a shot. So with that, let's go ahead and we will just get to the paint station cams. Take this thing off. And we've got rah-rah. Rah-rah pops up. Cool. Welcome to the show. Yes. We're doing a little bit of a transition here. We're moving over to the paint station. So we're going to put this together, and then we're going to get into some painting a little bit. But first, let's get into, we'll close that. We'll bring this up. And I think we're good. Okay. So here it is. This is it. Are we good? Yeah. So we got some, we got some good stuff here. So, everybody listen. And there it is. Oh, that came out nice. Came out nice. And then with our little dowels, I can pull those off. Boy, those brims are really on there. We're going to have to take those brims off. And it came out good. Good. Alrighty. So, yeah, this is going to be the pen holder. We got our pens over there. We got our little dowels, so we will get these going. And as you can see, when we split this apart in Creality Print, you're able to put connectors on there. So I just went for dowels, and then we have the holes. We have 4 holes on each of these towers. And so the theory is, and we're testing this out, this is the test print, to see if these work in the settings that we have, or if I need to make a minor adjustment. But this is going to be a free model on Creality Cloud. And so with that, if you want to download this, eventually I'll get it up there. And then you could print your own, either like this, or it will also have a copy of this in its entirety, non-split. So if you wanted to split this up in a different way or whatever, you'll be free to do that. Okay. So what we're looking at, let's take a look at the, oh, look at that. That came out great. Not bad. Overhangs look good. How do we see that? Yes. The Varied Life 60p. Dun, 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 dun. Robert asked, maybe you talked about it, but have you upgraded to Creality Print 7? No, I have not. Because I was waiting for this to finish, and I was like, I'll wait till I get the print done. Because, again, I always wait. Let's see, we got Terry Lay says, hey Steve, he's popped in. Let's see, Biggs Android, did you ever get Splitter? Yes, I did, matter of fact. I did get Splitter, and matter of fact, I was playing around with that last night. So let's see how this goes. So again, it's still, there's some things on Splitter that could be better. Yeah, that's not going to work. We're going to need a little bit of an X-Acto blade action here just to get those edges off. But I did pick up Splitter, and like I said, it was $110. A little clunky, but compared to Luban, the user interface is a lot better. There's just one part where you drag the part in there, and to scale it, it's not as intuitive. So still got to mess around with that, but it's released and everything, and so that should be a good thing. And yeah, I didn't know you can split in Creality Print and have dowels to connect them. Yeah, you absolutely can. You can take a model and you can do a planar split, which is basically what I did. Let's see. So this was the model as the way it was complete. And then you can do a planar split where, half of it, and that's what we ended up doing. And then there's another box where you can do connectors, and you can put dowels, you can put snap connectors. I think you could do something else as well. And you can change the size of the connectors and so on and so forth. The reason I went for dowels is that I didn't want little plug. If you do a plug would stick out on one end. I guess I could have done that because they were printed out and it would just print up. So I could do do that all on one side, but I don't know. But yeah, you can do that. And then we can actually go over that, and I'll show you. So it is kind of a good thing. And don't cut yourself. Don't take the sharp thing and cut yourself. You know, it'd be easier if I had some sandpaper. But yeah, you can do planer cuts, but when you start getting into larger pieces, kind of like doing life-size stuff, that's really, really rough. Big says, off work till Monday, so decided to give this Predator Badlands sword another first try. Part's gonna take 8 hours. Cool. That sword's pretty cool. Is that the one from Galactic Armory that you're talking about? As I saw a video on that, and that looks pretty cool. That looks like a cool sword. Which reminds me, I still have an axe that I need to do. So it's sitting in a bag, staring at me, glaring at me, saying, seriously, really? You make a pen holder and I've been sitting in this bag for days, just waiting to be put together. It's a Warhammer axe. So I try not to look towards the bag because it'll make me feel bad. So, cut away from the body. It's kind of a thing. Get this little brim off of there. But yeah, Creality Print is decent. I think if a slicer company was able to do what Luban does or Splitter does, of splitting up huge prints into the size of your build plate and incorporated that into their slicers, they would immediately go on top. You'd probably have to do I don't think anybody would do it for free, but it would probably be like an add-in, plug-in or something like that you'd have to pay money. Lord forbid, it's a subscription fee. I hate subscription fees. But that's the world we live in. You know, it used to be a thing that, you know, your iPod, your MP3 players and LimeWire and Napster and all that stuff. And then it was like, you know, the hard thing was trying to get a device. And then we got those. And then, yeah, everybody stole music. And not that I would do that. But, yeah. Now the convenience, we pay for the convenience of things that we didn't have to pay before. So, alrighty, let's see how this goes. How did those fit in there? Those are going to be a little tight. Oh, those are tight. Yeah, we might have to adjust that. That is really tight. See? That is a little tight indeed. And it's right on that corner and that edge. So, man, you might have to change a little bit of that, like a 0.01 change in the these dowels. Or I could just do the parts and then people could just do that on their own. They could split it on their own. Wow. I mean, it's tight. That's going to be a doozy. Yeah. Biggs is saying, yeah, that sword is pretty cool, yes. And then we have Ra Ra says, I bet you could print something smaller pins in just a few minutes. That's probably true. If I could reduce it down like 1%. But I'll drive on with this, but we will see. Maybe it's because of the brim. but take it down like 1%. I think that would be good. And that is really, yeah, that is tight. Don't you love the test prints? Cut a little bit more off there. Yeah, I think if we reduce this like 1%, that would probably be a little bit easier. What are the odds? Yeah, those are going to be interesting. Oh, dun 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 dun. Robert says I usually give it a 0.15 to 0.2 tolerance. Drink water, drive on. Yes, yes, yes. Water, vitamins stay alive is what I remember it. Drink water. I remember drinking water when I wasn't even thirsty. I was forced to drink water. I remember those days. So yeah. Dun, dun, little hammering, little banging. Yeah, I'll give that a shot. I'll reduce it down to tolerance 0.15, or maybe I could do like 0.17. Kind of do that in between, because really you just need these to line it up, and you're going to put some glue on there. You're going to glue it down, or UV resin or whatever, probably most likely super glue of some type. And we do have some Gorilla Glue. But again, this is a test print. So we'll trim these little edges and we'll keep it going. Because this is going to work, damn it. It will work. Just need to whittle like an old man, whittling things. And yeah, I think if I reduce the scale on these, I think we'd be good. But yeah, doing the tolerance again. But I think I'll play around with it a little bit more, and then before I put it on Cloudy Cloud, I'll print out like a small piece of this like that, and then we'll print out some more dowels and see how that works out. Yeah. So, but other than that, I mean, the holes came out great. You can see that there. That is really nice. So definitely a lot better than the previous version. So now we'll do a little bit of grinding. We'll do the same thing on this side. So let's see what else we got. Gemino says, why not manually enlarge the holes slightly with the drill bit? Yeah, I could do that too. Then I have to go get the drill. That's in the other room. And we'll just I think we'll just kind of drive on with this. But that's a good idea, of course. That's why I like hanging around you smart people. It's kind of like, oh yeah, could have done that. and it would have been good to go. I could still do that, but I'm a little stubborn. But I got to redo these anyway. So I'll just do this, and I'm in no rush. It is New Year's Eve here in Korea. So we got that going on. Oops, shows a little bit much. And it's going to be 2026 here pretty soon, which is amazing. Indeed amazing. That was a big chunk too. Like I said, we're going to end up with some super glue action here. So I'm not too worried about that. Let's see, what else do we got? For the test print, yes. Are the brown marks on your mat paint, or did you burn it with something? Oh, all of these? Yeah, the marks on here were from a laser. I had sharks with lasers. And no, that was actually from a laser engraver that I have, which is sitting up on a shelf. A little 5-watt laser, a little rinky-dink thing. It's kind of like the cheapest thing you can get off of Amazon. And it ended up that a company, I forget the name of the company, they asked me if I would do a review, and I said, well, I'll be honest. And they're like, sure, go ahead, we'll send it to you. Probably the cheapest laser you could get. The engraving area was like 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters. So yeah, it was super cheesy. But with that, I was able to make a ton of slate coasters, and I actually made a sale and made like $400. So that worked out good. It was like, hey, that works. But then over time, the power started diminishing on the unit, and took longer, and yeah, it was just a cheap, super cheap, I think it was called the K10. I can't remember the name of the company. But yeah, those are laser marks, and yeah, I laser engraved a bunch of stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, so there's that. But yeah. And one of these days, I'd like to get a laser engraver. I'm trying to put some feelers out there for some companies to do reviews and stuff like that, because I think I can do an honest review. And all the stuff I pretty much, except for the laser engraver, all the stuff that I've reviewed in the past is stuff that I personally bought. And so I think I do a good job of not being biased. And if something lives up to the manufacturer claims, then you're good to go. If it doesn't, I let people know, and yeah, that's how I roll. I do get a lot of offers from a number of companies, but the companies don't like that. They're lesser known Chinese companies, and they're like, well, you need to give us a good review. And it's like, no, that's not how that works. And I've had some say, hey, we're going to pay you money, you give us a good review. And again, it's like, that's not how it works. So sorry, that's not how it works. If it lives up to the claims, we'll let you know. And I don't do the prescribed, oh, this is automatically good. I don't do that. So I've had another number of companies contact me, and then after I tell them that, they never answer back. So what does that tell you? Okay. Okay. Let's make sure we get this lined up right. And I think this is going to fit. I think we're good. So I think I'm just going to go ahead like Rara says, I'll probably have to do a little adjustment on those. And we'll just throw a little bit of super glue on there so that we'll be good to go. Spread that around liberally so we get good adhesion. It's not going to be crazy. Oh, but I did find some CA glue with activator that I can get delivered here to Korea. Do you write up a contract when you review something, or is it just spelled out in an email? The stuff that I've done in the past, a company will contact me, or I'll try to contact them or whatever, and then I'll tell them, hey, here's what I can do. Ooh. Oh no, it broke. We got a little bit of a crack right there. Yeah. Got miniatures falling all over the place. So yeah, the dowels need adjusted, but that is what it looks like. Can we get that in picture and frame? Let's turn this up a little bit. We'll bring this back and we'll do this so we can see that maybe a little bit more. Ta-da! And there it is. We have it. So yeah, obviously we need to change some things. Maybe I will do a plug instead of a dowel because we got a little bit of a breakage there. You see that? But we have our trusty UV resin. So let's go ahead and throw that in there. And we'll do this. Force that in there. And we'll just run a bead of that in there. Should have taken the advice and just did the drill thing, right? But this is all for science. It's for science. Oops, seriously? Really? So I cracked the other side too. Quick! UV light pen. Powers activate. Yeah. Let's see here. See if we can back up a little bit more. Go down. And this stuff is really good. So this will basically glue it, is what we're looking at. And we should be good. This should glue up really well. So, note to self, change the connectors, and we might, like Rara said, maybe 0.12. Because it's better to have a little wiggle room than not, apparently. So, yeah. I think that's what we'll end up doing. See if we can get this sealed up real good. Do a little bit on the other side, and yeah. No! Just too strong for the print. I know. Maybe I should have printed it in carbon fiber, super reinforced steel, filament, whatever. More walls, maybe. Yeah, I did only do 3 walls. But then I wasn't counting on forcing it onto the dowels like I did. It's probably, yeah, Mongo strong. So yeah, so we'll just run this over here and make sure we get a real good, and we'll do the other side as well. Actually, that's pretty good. And again, all of this is for science. And we should do good. You know what? I'll add a little bit more. Just to seal that up right there. And then we'll just run that a little bit down there to reinforce it. A little welding. I could use a soldering iron and do that. Is that the full? There we go. Boom. Full power. Scotty, give her everything she's got. And we'll be good to go. Okay, so yeah. Besides not knowing my own strength and forcing things when I shouldn't, I think this came out well. Yeah, it's 396 millimeters tall, so you're looking at what somebody do the math and figure that out. But the build area for the K2 Plus is 350 cubed, so obviously you have to split this, and I split it in half. And split it in half so that way it'll work on build areas that are 256 cubes, so that works out great if you got a smaller build area. And other than that, I think we're good to go. Besides the little power problem, you know, push it until it breaks. Yeah, don't do that. And we'll do a little bit more on there. What are the odds? Just throw that on there. Ding. And then we should be good to go. Yeah, and so that's good. I mean, it's a lesson learned. This will be the one that I keep. And like some other stuff that I've made, you know, it's kind of like little imperfections. Fix them, and then the models that go on to the Creality Cloud page that you can download all the stuff for free or remix or whatever you want to do is a lot better. So, and we'll do a little bit across there as well. That, yeah, we might do a little bit more on that. We'll just do a little dabble do ya right across there. And right across there, and right across there. We already did a little bit on the other side, but we'll just add a little bit more. And our cement job should be done. This side is good, I think. Maybe. Tiny, I don't know, it might be a little crack. Don't know my own strength. But yeah, okay, let's see what else do we got. Dun dun dun. I sometimes just sand the joiners a little. Yeah, that's good. Did know your own strength. Yeah. Did go to today was arm day. And then can you mention that UV resin that you're using for the welding and finishing? Yeah, sure will. This is from Green Stuff World. And it is a clear UV resin, and you can put this on there. I used it on resin miniatures. I've used it on resin projects, FDM projects. You can smooth out FDM projects with this as well. So you kind of put it on there in paint, and then you use the UV light to get all that going and really solidify it, and you get some really clear surfaces with it. It's just, you're going to have a little bit of a resin smell, and then you're going to need a bigger light for like a big cosplay item. I've got like a 200 watt UV light that I use. So, but the Green Stuff World, it's a little pricey. But I imagine if you just picked up clear resin in like a 2 kilo bottle or a 1 kilo bottle or 500 gram bottle, I don't know, whatever they come in these days, I can't remember. You would be able to probably use that as well. So, yeah, I think we're good. Still a little bit tiny tacky. So again, with large things like this, you know what? I could get the big UV light. And we could just, boom, we could just kill it. How about we do that? Is there a little, no, I think that side's okay. Yeah, let's do that. Let me go grab that. So, That's in the other room. And we'll grab that baby. Question is the cord long enough? We shall see. We shall see. Talk about big. We've got big for you. We've got big. Oh, and we will. I think I can unplug that and plug this in. Oh, let there be light. That'll cure that up big time. So yeah, this is a AC 100 volts to 265, 20 watts or 200 watts UV light, and boom. This will fix all your problems. And so we just kind of do that and get some good welding on here. Of course, with the super glue on there, that'll help as well. But yeah, we can get some good stuff on here. So yeah, this definitely comes in handy. And again, I bought this mainly for smoothing out prints because I print those at 0.2 layer height, and I've done like the Battlelands rifle off of printables. Downloaded that, printed that out, and I did some smoothing out with UV resin. And it was like, okay. I even tried UV resin with a little bit of baby powder mixed in to give it a little bit of a thickness. But yeah, this ends up, it works pretty good. You know, you could do the Bondo thing and all that. I still have a lot of stuff to learn in that regard, but yeah, we are doing good. We can probably just set that there. So yeah, UV light, I picked this up off of Amazon. Apparently these resins use 395, yeah, UV. That's usually somewhere around there. Some are a little bit more, some are less. What's your favorite brand of paint that you use on your models? Recently I've been on a kick with speed paints 2.0. And those are really nice. Matter of fact, let me unplug that because I have to plug back in my paint shaker thing. But the speed paints are really good. I like the speed paint 2.0. That's going to require you do some zenithal. Let me go ahead and put this stuff back. The magic light. Put that back where it goes. So I'm trying to not be as messy. And then, so if you do a model and you've got, you know, some prime it in black like we see here, and then you can get some shadowing, you can get some gradient stuff, and then when you go over with your speed paints, because it's kind of that see-through-ish type of stuff, you can kind of get some gradient to that color and you can get some depth. So the speed paint, I would recommend speed paint 2.0 if you want to get good results and you don't want to spend a lot of time painting. And that's where we ended up doing this guy here. So this guy is, we did him with speed paints. And this is the FDM printed dude that we ended up having. And we've done some other stuff as well. The speed paints are pretty amazing. If you get the zenithal and get some good gradient, let me show you. And a World of Warcraft work. And look at this baby. This was done in like 99% of speed paints. Let me see if we can get you in a little bit more so we can see some of the wonderful details. So yeah, the majority of this is speed paints. And again, with some zenithal on there, it ends up, it turned out really, really good. I got some great and some little details. So that is pretty amazing. Yeah, it just turned out really good. There was a couple other paints that we ended up doing. I put a little UV resin on the purple there, a little dot of UV resin, and we cured that so it looks like it's an actual jewel. If you can see that there. We did a little bit there. But yeah, came out incredible. So speed paints are awesome. I think those really, really are good. But I also have the Army Painter paints, is what I initially started out with. And then I picked up the Airbrush Army Painter paints. The thing is, Army Painter paints are really expensive. We're talking like $6, almost $7 an ounce. Whereas if you get something like this Art Deco paints, you know, you get 2 fluid ounces of the 60 milliliters of this paint, and it's way cheaper. And you get more paint, and these are pretty good. I'm liking this. So I guess it depends on your budget. If I wanted to just get pieces on the table and have them look good, and I didn't want to spend a lot of time painting and learning how to do gradient or blending and stuff like that, I would go with a Speed Paint 2.0. Because that would save a lot of time. Okay, I think we're good to go. So there is our pen holder, our TVL 60P. And what we can end up doing is we will test out with our Just Art 60 dual tip acrylic markers. Has a little color swatch thing so that you can, apparently these have numbers. Do these have numbers? Oh, they do. So it has like V16. And then you could go through and do a little swatch. There it is, V16. So you could do that, and you could see what it looks like, but you kind of got the cap in. So, I don't know. That's kind of interesting. I like that. That's not bad. So, let's see if this works. So the whole idea was to make this so that way the pen could go through the first hole, and then we could guide it in, and we have enough of this sticking out. So kind of like this. So it just goes through, boom. And we would be able to see the color of the pen, and it would be, stacked, and we'd be good to go. So with that, let's start at the top, and we'll just work our way down. And I think we've got enough of, look at that. That's nice. I think this is actually working. So we can see the colors here, we can see them on the side, and yeah. You just got to make sure that the pen is straight and parallel to the ground, or to the earth, or whatever it is. And it slides right in there. Nice, I'm digging it. Now the question is, could you do other markers as well? Here we have a Sharpie, metallic Sharpie. The cap's a little, it's going to move on there a little bit. And so you could put a Sharpie in there as well. But it's going to drag a little bit on this. If you have the Sharpie with the clip on it, that wouldn't work. But this, yeah, even the Sharpie works on there for the metallic Sharpies anyway. So that's kind of good to know. Nice, I'm liking it, I'm digging it. And again, these are supposed to be stored horizontal because you have a tip on this end, and then you have a tip on this end, and if you put it up, then the paint would go to one end and the other end would dry out. So that's why they want you to store it flat. Nice. Look at that. Would you look at that? Not bad. Maybe take it like 1 degree and have it go back just 1 degree. So kind of tilt it back, but just maybe 1 degree. So we could do a cut if we could do something like that. But I mean, this is good. Let's go ahead and we'll continue on. So yeah, I think we did good on this. I'm digging this because I wanted to be able to have these pens available, but I didn't want, some crazy wild, I didn't want it to take up a lot of space horizontally. So I decided to go vertical. And I guess this is working out good. 60 colors. 60 colors. And you could end up doing, I don't know, maybe on this, well, no, that wouldn't work. I was going to say you could put ID tags on a swatch, but you don't have room for all that. It would have to be much bigger, so. But this is working out good. The simple things in life amaze me. It's like, hey, I made a pen holder, it works. And then I'll do something like this, and then I'll go to my wife, and I'll be, ooh, look at this miniature I painted, and look at this pen holder. And she's like, oh, that's cute. And she just kind of rolls her eyes, and she kind of laughs at me. So, but it keeps me out of trouble. So, yeah, it keeps me out of trouble. Do the hobby things and the painting and all that stuff. And boom. Another rack down on the last one. Ooh, they got some metal ones on here too. It's purple. Let's start at the bottom. We'll do something a little bit different. Let's see. That's cool. For a noob, can you quickly repeat the name of that step after the primer? The one you said that gives the gradients. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. That is zenithal. And what zenithal is if you have a model, and if we sprayed it with black, it's primed in black, and then what we do is we come back with a white, and we spray it kind of like at a 45-degree angle down at the model. So if we look here, we can see how it's got like grays and stuff like that because we didn't fully paint it white. And so that gradient of the white and fading into the black, and maybe you can see it kind of like more pronounced here. This is dry brushing, but it's still type of a zenithal where the light source is coming at a 75 degrees, hitting these areas, and then underneath you're getting the shadows. So they call that a zenithal. And so you're just highlighting, putting more dry brush on here. In the case of paint, it's called zenithal, and you're hitting it from above and spray painting down. So that's what they call zenithal. And then when you go over that with your speed paints, you can get some real good color gradients on there. And you don't have to worry about, blending paints from one color to another. I suck at that. I can do it, but I don't like doing it. And since I got the speed paints, it's like, hell, I use the speed paints more than I do the other ones. So yeah, Speed Paint 2.0 seems to work out really, really well. So hopefully that helps out. We got Concept Gaming. Yeah, he's in. She asked for a nail polish holder. Not yet. Not yet. I've printed out some stuff for her, and I always got to keep the wife happy. So I've done like some roses. I've done things that says love on it, little artsy-fartsy things, and she really likes that stuff. And eventually, I'll do some more. Time to time, I'll throw a print her way and let her know that I love her and care. So is the white paint or is it another white primer? You can do white paint if you want. You can use white primer as well. That's an option. I know for like when I was doing airbrushing on some of the models that I did, I would use an airbrush white and do that for the zenithal. Just spray can black primer. You could do that. And then go over it with like an airbrush white, spray can white. There's that. Brushing it on probably wouldn't work as far as painting, but if you dry brush it, which is like what we ended up doing here, we're able to dry brush that white onto the black, and we're going to get some good gradients on this. So I haven't painted this guy in so long. This is FDM printed, by the way. And maybe I'll do a little bit more white, and then we'll try to do him with some speed paints. So eventually we'll get to him, but yeah, the zenithal. Look up how to zenithal. And then if you got speed paints, it's like, it is so easy. It is so easy. But with this, there it is. Dun, dun, dun. Voila. We have done it. And if we move this up a little bit, can we get it all in frame? There it is. There it is. Look at that in all its glory. Boom. It's like a skyscraper of acrylic pens and colors. Magnificent. And you could even kind of grab it. Maybe I should put, well, I was going to say like a handle. I don't know. That could be a thing. I could do like a handle, print a handle and put that on there. That's an idea, a handle. But pretty much this is going to be, do that as well. You could do that. You could do that. But we're good to go. The mat's not really level, and I got some trash under the mat. But there it is. It ends up pretty good, and we could throw that into the back. And the other thing I wanted to try, there we go. That turned out good. I like it. I think it turned out good. What do y'all think? Yep, happy wife, happy life. You can print a wedge to that 1 degree tilt that you wanted. Or the other thing I could end up doing is taking this model in the slicer, and if I drop it down I could rotate it 1 degree and then drop it down. I could do that as well. Or I could just go back into Tinkercad and do 1 degree and cut off the bottom so it leans back just a little bit. But honestly, and the problem is, okay, so that's, yeah, there's the, because I got some crap on here, but that's steady, so that's good. I don't think I need the 1 degree. I just need to make sure wherever I set this, I don't have crap under it that makes it. So there we go. So the question is, with this, let's see, how does that look? Does that look good? I think we're good, yeah. We could try out and do a little painting on this guy here. So we got this little chunky monkey here. I think this is from Apex. It's either My Mini Factory or I think that's it. And I've got some of these. They look kind of cool. Kind of like halo type thing. And what we could end up doing is we could do, and I have another one that I ended up with just a black primer. And we could try out some colors. You know what? I do have a piece. I do have one piece. The One Piece. Season 2. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, that's not it. That's not it. Yeah, we can do that. It is really deep down in the trash. We'll just use this piece here. So this was part of a failed, not a failed print, but I just wanted to see if the beveling and stuff like that turned out good, and what we could end up doing. So you try out some colors. So let's do a red, and it's going to be on black, so we'll see how that goes. We have a brush tip and a fine tip. So there is the brush tip. And then we'll do the fine tip. And we can take a look at that. It's not bad. Of course, it's on black, so you're going to get that, you know, that thing going on. Oh, that just works so well. Let's see what other cool colors we got. We have... It doesn't have the name of the color. Isn't that odd? Why would you not have the name of the color? You've got a reference, and you got the color swatch on here. And then you have the colors, but you don't have the name of the colors on the pen itself. Maybe I'm going blind. No, acrylic, brush, fine. You just have this arbitrary number that is on there that says, you know, this is it. This looks like a gold. So let's try gold and we'll see how that turns out. Ooh. Nice. And you don't have to press the pen. Ooh, that came out nice. You can see that there. Yeah, that came out nice. Look at that. That's a pretty good coverage, especially for the gold. Let's see what other colors we got. I'm assuming this is silver. So let's do some silver. Oh yeah, that's silver. And the tips are nice and soft. That is, they're even softer than a Sharpie. Wow. This is nice. I'm surprised. Take a look at that. We got some real good coverage on there. Let's do some yellow. We'll see how the yellow turns out. We'll just do one swipe. Well, maybe 2, 3, 4. And then we'll just do one line. So look at that. That's not bad. That is pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with these. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. What sort of pens are they? They are acrylic marker pens. They're acrylic paint pens. Yeah. It is the Just Art 60 dual tip acrylic markers. So yeah, you've got a fine tip, you've got a brush tip, waterproof, water-based. How does that work? If it's a water-based pen, but it's waterproof. It's amazing what they can do with science these days. Those came out really good. Let's try green. Kind of a darker green. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen. Ooh. This could be, look at that. That is some pretty good coloring. There's some nice coverage on that. I've seen videos of people that do the paint pens, the acrylic pens, and they love them. So I'm wondering if we could do this guy. Well, I don't know if we want to do them. Any color suggestions for the main colors for like his big armor, and then the visor on there? I'm thinking that would be gold. That would look really cool. Kind of a halo, whatever type of thing going on there. So we could do that. And then we could do a green. Kind of do them in a green, and then we could add some colors. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Let's just, let's give this a shot. So, let's do this. Oh my gosh. Seriously. Oh, that is so nice. Oh, you all, look at this. Oh, I need to do a little bit. I mean, you're limited, but that fine point, I wish it was just a tiny bit more. But look at that. That came out great. Wow, and it's vibrant too. Oh, dun dun dun. Jamin says Amazon Prime has them for $27 for 72 colors, U.S. shipping. Yeah, that's where I got them, off as Amazon. I got the 60. I thought about the 72, and I was like, I should have went to 72. I'd have to add a couple more on the tower, but I think this is good. Hard to say. How much I need to wait after applying paint filler to paint it safely? I'm afraid of the toxicity on the release gases. For primer on miniatures, I've painted and like this guy, I did a spray can of black and did the primer on him, and it came out really nice. And of course, I got a little fan that vents out the fumes and everything, but I think I let this sit for, I don't know, 6 hours. Boom, it's good to go. Could have probably painted it, done some stuff. You know, I touched it and it was like, okay, it ends up, it's okay after a few hours. Some paints dry faster than others, get fast drying, primer, whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about the VOCs. But I do have an airbrush booth that has a fan, and we have a little hose that goes out to the window, so it vents all that stuff out. So yeah, interesting. 6 hours sounds great. Yeah, it should work. That way you know it's there, so I paint it, bring it inside where it's warm. Usually I'll prime everything and I'll let it sit overnight. So when I'm asleep, it gets all nice and hard and everything, and it's real good. Wow, this is going to be nice. And then the same thing with the zenithal. I'll do a bunch in black, let it sit overnight. The next day I'll do a bunch of the white. Boom, that goes, and then let it sit. So yeah, I kind of do it in batches type of thing. So this is nice. Let's continue on. What color should we do? Gold? Gold and red would be good. Let's do that. Let's try. You know what? Since we're going to be doing this, let's do it the right way. We'll get our little holder. And that's kind of an odd red. But it is what it is. It's kind of like a pastel pink red. It's not like a deep, deep red. that is nice. I like it. That is, oh, that just goes on there so smooth. Now you're going to be limited by the width and the size of your pen and where you're going to paint that. But that comes out good, doesn't it? And we knocked that out fairly quick. Let's just do the underside. Oh, that is so nice. Ah! And I thought speed paints were easy. Let's just jam through this and we'll see. See if we can get this. And the tip of this is real soft. So that is nice. But I do notice you're going to be limited on what you can get the tip into. So you might run into some issues with that. Kind of like underneath here. Get that little underside there. Yeah, that's going to be hard to get up into there. But if we're just talking quick tabletop, it doesn't seem bad. We got Pyrochrona says, do you use sandpaper on your 3D prints and what printer do you have? I'll answer the second part first. I have the Creality K2 Plus. And normally what I'll do is cosplay items I print at 0.2 millimeters, and I'm just getting into sanding, so I'm experimenting with wood filler, resin with a little bit of baby powder, and of course sanding. It's going to depend on the number of walls you have, so you would definitely want something like 4, 5, 6 walls, because you don't want to sand. You want to have some good strength to that. And if you only have like 3 walls, you can get aggressive in sanding. You might put holes in your items. So yeah, that would be a thing. That would be bad. Let's see if we can knock out. And just go through. And this is the brush tip. I should probably use the fine tip portion of this. But I'm pretty impressed with this so far. So we'll just do that. And we'll start with what's on the base. And then we can go through and then we could add on top of that. We could do some other colors. Wow. Check that out. That's not bad. Let's see if we can see what the fine tip does. And I think I'll leave that for some gold. We'll do that in red as well. We'll see if we can. But yeah, you're going to be limited on where you can get this pen tip in. So like at the recesses and everything, like what I'm experiencing here, you might not be able to do that. Wow. I was skeptical on acrylic paintbrushes. It really was. But yeah, it is. It looks like it's a viable thing. Still need a little bit of a steady hand. But the good thing is the brush tips on this are soft. So you can kind of press it in there and you can get that. So look at that. Not bad. Wow. Impressive. Let's see if we can just kind of blaze through here real quick. Let's just do the other one. The brush tip, which is a wider. We can really just kind of go over this real quick. Again, yeah, I'm impressed. Nice, nice, nice. That is interesting. Depending on the miniature, of course, you know, paintbrush is going to be able to get into the nooks and crannies of anywhere. But yeah, good stuff. Let's see. And the fact that it can be brushed on and you can use it like a marker because, hello, it is a marker. But it's not real translucent. So maybe with the zenithal, you're not going to get a lot of gradient because it's not real see-through-ish, if you know what I mean. And that's one way to do it. Okay. We will glue him back. But let's continue on. Let's see. Pyro says, do you use sandpaper? We answered that. Gotcha. After many years of waiting, I finally got my first 3D printer. I waited for a cheap and reliable printer to release on the market, and with the Bamboo Lab A1, I regret not getting the bundle. I've printed some small stuff so far, but I'm interested in trying sandpaper. Don't want lines that show up on the prints, and then I'll paint them. The other thing that you can end up doing is using a lower layer height. Instead of doing like 0.2 layer height, drop it down. You probably have a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, and you could drop that down to 0.16, 0.18. I've done that on a number of items, and it takes longer to print, but your post-processing is going to be significantly less. So you might take a gander at that. And if you print stuff out, then yeah, do it at a smaller layer height of like 0.16, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised on the quality that you'll get. And it'll definitely make your post-processing and sanding a lot easier, and it will really minimize that. So that's something to look into. And if it ends up making the print, like, you know, oh, it's going to take 2 hours more or 3 hours more or whatever, just do your print overnight and you're going to be asleep anyway, so who cares? The machine's going to be doing the work. So I don't care if I add on an extra 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. It's really not that big of a deal. I'll just print it at night, and then when I wake up in the morning, boom, it's done. Kind of like what I did with this. I started last night, woke up this morning, it was done, I was happy, and yeah, good to go. And then the other thing that you could end up doing, there's a thing called variable layer height. And I know that Bamboo has it, most slicers do. And so the top surfaces, you can do a variable layer height. And let's say you start your print and it's 0.02 layer height, which is pretty good. You do that and it's like, okay. But when you do the print, let me show you this. This will be great. When we do the print and you get up towards the top, like on this helmet, you can see how ugly this is and those layer lines. I didn't do variable layer height. So what happens is we're pretty good here, and this is 0.2, but then once you get here, you're going to get the separation. So to minimize that, you do the variable layer height from like here up, and it will drag that down. Like I should have taken that down to from starting at this point here, and everything that goes up from here, it would go to a 0.08 layer height. It would add a lot more time, but you wouldn't get this funky stuff that we end up there. I mean, that's really, really funky. And so that's going to require a lot of sanding. Of course, there was a bunch of that up there as well. But that can make a huge difference on those top surfaces so that you have less post-processing to do. So, yeah. You could print at a smaller layer height, and you could also do variable layer height, and that could really, really help with the quality. So yeah, good stuff. So we're just going to kind of do this guy a little bit, and then we can throw on some gold. You can do some different colors. Actually, I'm thinking, we could do some grays and stuff like that, and throw in some different colors and everything. We could do his boots like a different color or whatever. I don't know. We'll see. I was going to do this guy with speed paints, but we'll just go fast. Go fast. Go fast, Speed Racer. Go. And the tip is soft enough, and actually we do get a little bit of gradient there. If you can see that on this piece right here, you can get a little bit of gradient on there. So that's not too bad. It would kind of be like a shadow, but you got to just do like one pass on that. Done. Concept Gaming says, yeah, I adjust that on the K2 as well, normally on the very top layers, talking about that variable layer height. Yeah, it's just such an easy way to, I've actually seen people complain about it. Well, you're going to add so much print time to your model. And it's like, yeah, but if you save a lot of time on the back end of post-processing of sanding, and you don't have to do as much sanding, you don't have to use as much consumables when you sand. It's like, that needs some UV resin. You need to cure that. That is like we can fix that. I didn't realize, I think I dropped this like one too many times. A little UV resin in there and we'll be good to go. We'll pull out our little UV light ray. Now I had the big one, but and this will just, boom, glue this right together and we'll be good to go. I think when I dropped it, it snapped it a little bit. And I think it's not PLA Pro resin. I think this is a water washable resin, or maybe it's the eSun Pro, but it's a little bit brittle. And then of course, if you drop it, It's probably not a good thing to do anyway. So, let's see, a good time to dun 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 dun. Pyro says, I see, and definitely going to check that out. I just need to learn the Bamboo Studio. There's so many things available. Do you use PLA? Yes, I use PLA. I use, that's mostly what I print with. And you have to make your own models. Sorry for the bad English. Swedish guy. No, that's fine. That's totally fine. Don't worry about it. You speak Sweden and English. I barely speak English. So I do a little bit of Korean, but no, your English is good, dude. Yeah, just watch a bunch of videos on YouTube and you should be good to go. And yeah, but yeah, I print in PLA. That's probably the easiest, and what most people print is PLA, unless you're going to do some type of specialized parts or prints that like PETG or something like that. But for the majority of the stuff, it's almost all PLA. So cosplay items, miniatures, you know, stuff like this, functional items, I use PLA. If you need something that's more heat resistance, you could go with the PETG, you could go with carbon fiber, AESA, ABS, and whatever. You could do all that stuff too. But if you're just getting into it, just go with PLA and you should be good to go. But that's cool. That's cool. And once you get into it, you'll be like, oh, this is so cool. It is so cool. So yeah, good stuff. And the Bamboo A1 and the A1 Mini, they have some issues in overheating. So just be careful of that. If you look up 3D Musketeers, they've had a number of A1s and that have had some problems. So just keep your eye on that, and just be careful. Of course, I'm still careful with my printer as well. So there's that. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I did that. So let's do it on this side as well. I just want to try to knock this guy out real quick and we'll see what happens. And then we can do some little detailings, because the other thing I want to see on this is, does this work and can you put other paints on top of this paint and see if they bleed into each other or not? Because if you're painting miniatures, you're going to run into that. And we'll test that out here and we'll see how that goes. I'll just do a quick little thing here. But these are turning out nice. I'm liking it. I'm digging it. It's not bad. And we'll just do a couple little things here. And we'll do a little bit of red on here. I'm pleasantly surprised with these markers. And I could probably do that in black. We'll see how that works. Nice, nice, nice. Turns out good. I'm definitely feeling it, that this could be, if you wanted to do some tabletop ready stuff and you weren't like super concerned about, you know, perfection in your paint, but you just wanted something that looks good, you know, throw down some paint and make it look presentable. This might be the way to go. So, and we'll do some different colors here. That we'll do his crotch. we forgot that little piece there. And again, you're going to be kind of limited by where the tip can get into. But if we're just doing tabletop miniatures and you just want to throw down for a game, yeah, this seems to be working. Not bad, not bad. Again, decent coverage on this. It is turning out good. Not bad. Our handy dandy pen holder is working out fine. Is this FDM printing or resin? These are resin. This is FDM printed. So we did that guy in FDM at 0.08 layer lines. And then we did these small guys. This guy here, he is FDM printed. And we've been painting him with some Army Painter paints to see how it stacks up against resin printed. And while some of the details are muddled, it's still pretty damn good for tabletop ready. So yeah, we're doing miniatures in FDM, and then for this, and that is who? Andrew Jackson? Yeah, this is FDM printed. So we got this guy here, and we did some dry brush with him. So that comes out really good. And then these two guys in the back, they're resin printed. So we got kind of a mix and match of different things. So with this, we're testing out the acrylic pens that I bought, and to see how those are. Oops, I missed a spot. But I'm liking these. I am liking these. It's so easy to paint with this. It's amazing, really. And we'll do a little bit in there. Oh, we'll do that. Boom, booyah. And we'll get a little bit in there. We're going to do that in black anyway. So, yeah. Let's see what else. Dun. Check that out. FDM printing, but resin printing, not FDM. Some are FDM, some are resin. Pyro says, I've been thinking about trying Pet G. Got some people interested in buying car add-ons from me. Bought a hot end hardened steel. I heard that is better for printing with the harder esoteric, the exotic filaments, which is absolutely true. Hardened nozzle, you can't go wrong with. Even if you do PLA, it'll just last longer. And I have the full-size A1. Thinking about building an enclosure, but I'll probably have to install some sort of cooling system or vent system. Yeah, or you could just get like a grow tent. You could do that and put your printer in there. A number of people have done that. Or you can build your own enclosure. So there's that. Bobby pops up and says, is this your actual job? This is my hobby. I'm retired. I'm an American expat in Korea, and I'm retired. So my job is going to the gym. That's it. So whatever I make off of this is just hobby fun stuff. If I make a few nickels off it, a few dimes, that's gravy. That's bonus. But yeah, my livelihood does not depend on YouTube videos. Thank God. I'd be starving. Yeah, it's basically hobby stuff. So I just like it. I want to put out some good stuff and just kind of document the journey since I'm retired. gives me something to do, and I used to like teaching in the military and stuff like that. So let's go back to some gold. We'll do some gold highlights here on some of these edges here. Oh, that comes out so nice. And then we could even go through and come back with kind of like a dark wash that we can put in those recesses. But even then, ooh, that looks nice. Look at how that turned out so good. You know what I'm going to do? Let me turn on the overhead light. Maybe we can get some better light in here. And maybe we can bring this in. We can kind of move this so we get, and if I'm kind of here, and I do that, my ugly mug going to get in the way? I don't think so. I'd really like to get a good camera. Is that going to be good? I think so. That's all we got. Oh yeah, this is nice. That is turning out nice. I dig it. Let's give him a gold belt. How's that? Nice, nice, nice. That gold comes out really good. I wish they had like a darker red, a richer red, instead of this kind of pinkish red that we see. Kind of screwed up on that a little bit. Not too bad though. Yeah, we're just kind of playing around with this, and we'll see how that goes. How does that turn out? That is not bad. It's a pen, for God's sake. It's a pen. What other gold stuff do we could do? Hey, let's try this here. And we'll see how the coverage is. Ooh. Ooh, oops. Oh, it wipes off too, for the most part. Ah. See if we can get a little bit in there. Get in that crease. How does that look? That turns out good. Pyro says, cool. Where in the military did I work? I was a communications guy. So when you see the people in the military that are carrying the radio on their back, that was me. So I was in infantry, I was in artillery, and I was a guy with a radio on his back, and I was in armor units. I was, what else was I in? I was in air cav units, and yeah, I did a lot of cool stuff. Did my 20 years, retired, and said, yeah, I am done. I wanted to stay longer, but it just got too stupid, to be honest with you. So, yeah, it was that. Dun, dun, dun. Did you make the model or stand yourself? I think I made this one in Tinkercad. The models, I've got these from Apex Legends, I think it is. I think that was off of My Mini Factory. The only thing that I've made is on the Creality Cloud. And if you look up the Varied Life, you can find out that I made, like this pen holder. I just make the pen holder. I made a paintbrush holder. This thing here, that came out kind of cool. I did the paint rack that we got over here. I made that. So, and it's all for free. But yeah, I'm just like a Tinkercad guy. I'm not like a high-speed Fusion 360 person. Let's see. But I can't. Yeah, I can make in Tinkercad. I can make models in for simple things like stands and stuff like that. But there's so much free stuff out there on Cults 3D, Thangs, Thingiverse, all of that. STL Finder, you can find a bunch of stuff. But printables, colors are getting quite vivid. Cool. Yeah. Pyro says that he welds submarines. Holy crow. You get a welding guy here. From what I've heard, that is a very, very nice. You can get paid a lot for doing that stuff. And if I was going to go back and do it all again, I'd probably go Air Force, but I would probably go for something more technical or even trades related like welding, plumbing, whatever, because all of those things are going to be worth big money. And yeah, there's guys that I know, even big equipment operators, we're getting $40, $50, $60 an hour. So that is going to be, yeah. When I worked in prisons, we had guys that work on heavy equipment and learn how to drive those things, and they would get out and make $30, $40 an hour. So let's suspend this for now. Let's see if we can do some other colors on here. But that's cool. Welding submarines. Let's see if we can do some silver. That was the silver color, and I'm really disappointed in the red. I really wish it was a deeper, richer red instead of kind of like this pinkish Hello Kitty color that we got going on. Let's do this guy's hand in silver. That'll be easy to do. And then we could come back and we could do some details in some different colors. Oh, it's so nice just to be able to just throw this stuff on there. Look at that. Would you look at that? Nice. Let me just take a moment. Take a moment. And again, you're going to be limited to wherever this this marker can go into, but this has turned out pretty good, folks. It is nice. Nice. That has turned out great. We could do some details on him. It's not lead belcher like Citadel colors. I really like lead belcher, but that's pretty good. Let's see if we can do the tanks on the back. We'll just throw that on there, and then we can come back and do some other details. Kind of do some stuff in some gold and maybe some black on top of this. We can do those pipes in gold. We can do that. Look at that. It just goes on so quick. And it dries quick too. I'm really impressed with that as well. Oops. Wow. Let's do some silver underneath there just to get some coverage. Nice, nice. And we'll just do silver over this, and then we can come back with some black and some gold. We can just kind of knock out this bolter pretty quick. And then we have his gloves. So we can see how that'll turn out. Oh, just look how easy that's going on. Let's see if we can get a better look. I mean, it's just, you can see how soft that brush is, the tip of that, and it just flows really, really nice. Wow. Again, I'm impressed. I didn't think these paint markers were going to be this nice. I know I said speed paint was really cool. maybe, maybe this is the way to go. Let's knock this out real quick. And the coverage is nice. The silver paints over the red well. I'm just wondering if we can do some details. We can get underneath there. We're going to be limited. That is so close. But not bad. Just need to be careful where that tip goes. Let's see, about just run that over there. Silver does a pretty decent job of covering that. 좋다. 좋아요. Wow. Silver turned out good. So we got the silver on there. Let's see, where else can we do silver? Yeah, we'll just do a little bit on his waist a little bit. Since we did the silver on there as well, you can just kind of throw that in there. Wow. I mean, you can still feel that it's tacky, so I'm not going to say it's like it dries immediately, but it dries quick. I'm impressed. Let's do some black. Because once you go black, you never go back. So we will do some black on this little thing here. Yeah, paint is still on the top, is a little bit damp. I should not hold it by the top. Maybe that would work. Yeah, what are the odds? Yeah, you're going to be a little limited on that tip and what you can get in there. But for the most part, not too bad. Let's see if we can get some of these areas here with some black. That's the fine tip. And again, you're going to be limited on what you can do with that. And the details, but Not bad. Not bad at all. Let's see if can we get in there. It's going to be a little rough. Yeah, there's definitely some limitations that you're going to have with a pen. But and that's where a paintbrush is, you can't beat a paintbrush. But if you just want to throw down some colors on this real quick, and that would work. But you're going to be limited. Like places that I would normally get with a brush, that wouldn't be a problem. We're seeing some areas that we can't get into. So there's that. Let's see. Let's do some little details. Will this fit? No, of course not. Let's see. Yes, good money, and AI isn't always taking over this job for a while. Oh, talking about the submarine welding. 7 a.m. here, so I'm going to hop to bed. See you and good luck. Alrighty, you stay safe and doing your welding thing, man. Enjoy it. And yeah, well, hopefully you like and subscribe, and we'll see you on another video. Kind of do this guy's boots in black. Not bad. Like I said, I was kind of skeptical on these, but on these paint markers, but I guess they have their place. You could end up using them, but you're gonna have some areas that you're not gonna be able to get into. But if that doesn't concern you so much, but then again, this isn't the end all be all. There's no perfect paint system. And so you're probably, you could throw a wash on there, dark wash to fill in some of those areas, and to try to do that. But they give good coverage though. Like I said, it is not bad. Do this other foot, we'll knock this one out. And again, it's just, for speed's sake, it's pretty good. Because you don't have to pour paint out, you don't have to thin it, you just uncap it and go. And interesting. I think this could have a place in painting. Let's see. I really wish the red was better. Let's try some green, and I was going to say maybe do the missile launchers in green, but that's kind of an odd thing. Let's just throw some random green on here and see how that looks. We're just kind of testing things out and see how that turns out. Again, no rhyme or reason, just trying different stuff. So we'll just kind of cover over this. We'll just throw some green on there. We just had Christmas, so maybe a little Christmas warrior action that we got going on. Red and green. But the coverage is good. I like it. And it is, the interesting thing about it is you can go over and it will fill in and be more, whereas with paint, If your paints are thick, you're good to go. But if your paints are watered down, you're going to have to do multiple passes on it, and you're going to have to wait for that first layer to dry. But this, it seems like you can just go through, and if you want it to be a little bit heavier, you just mark it over and put more paint on it. It's just kind of wild. I didn't think that would be a thing. So what do we got there? Can you all see that? Yeah, it's not a real good color scheme, but you know, we're just kind of throwing in some colors and see what we can get on here. Put a little bit of another coat on there. A little bit thicker there. Put some knee pads in green. We got that. Not too bad. Not too bad. Let's put a little swatch of green on there. And let's do some green on his little handguard armor. And then I want to see what type of color we can get for his hand, because that'll be interesting. Of course, we don't have to worry about that hand. Interesting. Dun 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 is the other end of fine tip. Yeah, it ends up that you have a fine tip. I don't know if y'all can read that, but there's a fine tip, and which looks like that. And then the brush tip is a bigger, wider one that we see there. So it seems like this is softer, and it actually does come out to a pretty nice tip. You can see that. But it's more of a brush, and then that is, I don't know, that just seems like a fine tip marker. I don't know, with the brush tip, I don't know. You can get larger surface areas with it, but it seems like you get more of a point on this than you do the other one. So let's try some other colors. Let's just screw around and see what else we got. Let's try some brown. See how the brown works out. And I like that you don't have to push the brush and to try to get, you know, the, oh, you know what I want to do? I don't want to do brown. I want to do like flesh tone, which is kind of what we got here, kind of like a pink flesh tone. Ooh, they got a darker one. But we just got a little bit of a hand there. Kind of like a mocha. And I just want to see what that'll look like. I know it's kind of like his hand is supposed to have stuff on it, but I just want to see what this color looks like. Kind of an interesting. Alrighty. It's a pretty good flesh color. I know it's not flesh, it's like a glove, but that works. That works indeed. What other colors can we do? Here we got kind of a gray. Let's see if we can get a darker gray. Ooh, ho, 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 ho. Look at that. Boom. Oh, yes. Daddy like. That is like a lead belcher color. It's a little bit darker. Oh, that is good. I like that. We could like do some dots there. Do some add a little bit of breakup of all that silver that we did by just doing dots. Give a little bit of little detail. Let's do this in that color as well. Oh yeah. That reminds me of lead belcher so much. That is really good. And we'll just put a little swipe there. Do a little swipe there on that and that. And back there. Oh yeah, folks, this is nice. Gonna clean that up a little bit. How's that look? Nice. So we can do a little bit of accent colors, a little bit of detail work. So we can kind of break up all of this craziness that we have in the silver. Well, we could even, on the blade, you can see how it's got the edge of the blade. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh, yes, yes. That is nice. The little blade edge is coming out nice. See if we can do the same thing on this side. It's not pronounced, so we'll just have to do our own little. Nice, nice, nice. Get a little bit of accent work. Y'all can see that. That came out good. Nice concept gaming. My missus is going to kill me. I'm going to end up spending more on paints than she spends on nail polishes. Shh, shh. Don't say anything. It's okay. Man. Yeah, it's quite the interesting hobby, that's for sure. I spend a lot of money on it, but I try to buy once, cry once. And so with that, I want to make sure that I buy good stuff. And I don't want to be that person that is like buying a ton of stuff and then, you know, especially because I'm here in Korea. So I have a little bit of an added, there's a little bit of an added tax that I gotta do. So there's that. And so I don't like paying that. So yeah, that's why I kind of take my time when I shop and try to find out, you know, something that's really good, really nice. And yeah. I can get a fair amount of details on this. I mean, the color scheme is a little funky, but it's not bad. Is that an FDM printed model? This one is resin printed, but this one is FDM printed. And so we painted this the other day, and this was painted on my Creality K2 Plus. So with the one that we're doing now, I just wanted to check out how these acrylic pens are working, and so we're just kind of screwing around and seeing how these turn out. And I'm pretty impressed, to say the least. So, yeah, good stuff. And of course, we're putting our pens inside our holder that we made in Tinkercad and printed out on our K2 Plus. So, yeah. Let's see, what else we got? We stopped paying taxes here in New Zealand, too. 15% on everything. Ooh, 15%. Ouch. That's a chunk. That is chunky. It's a chunky tax you got there. These little areas that need a little bit of touch up. I'm just kind of blaze through here and see if we can get this thing, see how well we can do with this. And it's doing pretty well, actually. So we'll throw on some other colors. I'm not liking the red. I know I've said that enough already, but the red needs to be red, not Hello Kitty pink. Because that is Hello Kitty pink. It is not red in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. What other colors can we throw on here? Now we're just kind of throwing colors and seeing what happens. Let's try blue. We'll try blue, see what that looks like. We can just throw some. Since we're just doing all the colors of the rainbow, we might as well. The coverage is nice. See that there. Nice, that works. Not bad. Not bad at all. Let's go back and we'll do some more gold. As I was digging the gold, we can do some more details. Let's see, what else do we got? I'm getting a P2S, says Calfax Play, with a 0.2 nozzle to make miniatures once it's back in stock. Funny you should mention that. I just ordered a few days ago, or about a week ago, maybe a week ago, 5 days, I ordered some 0.2 and 0.25 nozzle for my Creality K2 Plus with the Micro Swiss hot end. So, yeah, I'm going to be right behind you doing that stuff. We'll check that out and see how that works. So, yeah, good stuff. And it was somebody, I know who it is. It was Star Killer. He's a guy that kind of frequents the channel here, and he had mentioned that he had printed out some miniatures on his printer, and that got me interested in it, and so I started printing out. And then, yeah, that's where we ended up. We started doing some miniatures on the K2 Plus. And matter of fact, this guy is printed out on the K2 Plus. And so we're in the process of painting him up. And the details for him, I mean, it's muddled, but that's a 32 millimeter mini at 0.08 with the 0.4 nozzle. So, yeah, it's pretty good. We did another one. So we're doing this guy as well. And yeah, there's some things that are missing. Obviously, you can't, resin printing is always going to be better. But yeah, it turns out, I was pretty surprised at how well it could print out in like 2 hours and 30 minutes. And 0.08 layer height. So yeah. See, what other details do we want to put on here? Is gold. We'll just do some random gold on the bottom. Oh, actually, that looks good. So yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. At all. So interesting, interesting. Let's see if we can throw a little bit of gold in there, see what happens. Not bad. Uh-huh. We're just kind of screwing around and seeing how these work. Aside from the red that I don't like. Let's see if we can do a little bit there. A little line there. But not bad. Like I said, I don't think these would be the end all be all of painting, but I do think that acrylic paint pens can have their place in doing some stuff. So if we can see some of got some pretty decent details on that. It's the color scheme, I apologize for it, but we're just kind of screwing around and seeing what we can come up with. Just playing around with different colors. What is another? Let's do, I don't know. I think we're pretty decent on that. I mean, it would be interesting with this blue, kind of like that blue for Citadel paints. What is that called? McCraggy blue. That's kind of what this reminds me of. If we go over and just kind of throw that on there. Oh, we should have went with this. Should have went with the blue, gentlemen. Why didn't you tell me to just go with the blue, the McCraggy, the McCracken? Nice. Again, we get good coverage with it. I like it. That looks a lot better, doesn't it? Yeah. I like the blue better than the red. The red is not my favorite color. Let's see, we got some other comments. Not bad. Looking forward to the 0.2 nozzle to see the difference. Faxplay says. Also ends up saying, I just learned yesterday that a rotary tool is a nice way to make realistic looking bullet holes in miniatures when painted. Now I have to buy one. You could also do damage with using a soldering iron, and you could get some battle damage doing that on models. Of course, obviously with PLA that would work really well, but I think with resin print you might be able to do that. But a rotary tool would definitely work on the resin, depending on the resin that you use. Because there is resin like water washable resin. Some resins are just really brittle, so you got to be careful with a rotary tool, because I've seen some stuff shatter. Don't ask me how I know that. So what I'm saying is do a test piece and see how it works, and to see how your resin reacts and things like that. Wow, that we should have went with blue, gentlemen. We should have went with the blue. Let's try purple. Just try it and see what that comes out. We'll do the other shoulder because we know we don't like the red. Because the purple and gold, that would come out nice. Oh, that would be good. Purple would have been a good one as well. And if we can just draw a straight line, that helps immensely. So look at the purple and how that turned out. That is nice. Nice. Let's see, what else could we end up doing? Let's do that little handguard bottom on the thing. And we'll do some brown. Because he's going to have a wood fore end on there. That's like a tan. This would be good for like a skin color for a very tanned person. So we can see how that comes out. It's not too bad. And I like how you can just go over it again. The thing I do wish is they had some darker colors, like a darker red, obviously, and darker brown. We did the silvers, we did yellow a little bit. Did we do yellow? I don't think we did yellow. We got some different colors. I need to sort these in like order of color. That would make me happy. So, and they don't have the names of the colors on here. It's just an arbitrary number. And there's not like a key code or a code page that says this is what this color is. It's just numbers that don't seem to have any relevance to them. So not bad. I would probably say, as far as paint markers, these are my first acrylic paint markers. Again, the color scheme is not what I would paint with, but we're just trying out different colors to see how that turns out. And some of the details, you could definitely throw on some color here, but again, you're going to get into some recessed areas where the pen tip is not going to be able to get into. But for the most part, you could throw down some depending on the model as well. You could throw down some quick miniatures. And you know what we're going to do? We get some of our UV resin from Green Stuff World. And we will get this guy on the base. So a little bit better than what we had before. That stuff is great. I love that stuff. And then we'll just throw them on the base. Get them back there. We'll use our little UV light pen and we will cure him into place. The other thing I want to get is some CA glue with activator. That is something I just recently ordered, so I'm looking forward to getting that. Put the super glue, the CA glue on one side, spray some activator on the other, hold it together for like 12 seconds and you're good to go. This is not... seriously, really? You're gonna do that to me on live? Of course it's paint, but If I hold it and not move it, that would probably help immensely. To let the UV light actually cure the resin instead of moving it around thinking it's just going to magically join in a half second. I think a cool desert theme would go hard, would be good too. A tannish brown. Yeah, that would look, that would look really good. And you could have some black lines to kind of like edge highlighting. You could do that. That would look good. Printing a model before putting it together is also a good idea. A little bit late now. Yeah. This guy is not staying on here. Seriously. That is so odd. We'll just have to. I'll have to throw some glue on there and try to get them set. But yeah, that would be a good idea. And it's kind of like, paint individual pieces and then put them together, and then that's pretty time consuming, and I'm kind of impatient. Kind of like I'm impatient for this guy, seriously. What do we drop? Excuse me. Oh, an old Citadel. Astro granite. That's what we dropped back there. Ooh, wait. Got some other miniatures that I'm messing up. Alrighty. So we'll just leave it at that. Do I get a rag? Yes, I do. Just clean up the bottom of his feet, and then we'll just throw some glue on there, and we'll just glue him on, and he will be good. But yeah, the desert theme would be good. Let me stand up for this and see if we can get some good light on this. So we got some pretty decent coverage on here. I like the purple, I like the blue. I think, the tan would be good. We got some decent colors on there. The coverage is good. The gold is good. I'm not digging the red per se. But I would say that it's got there's some good things about the acrylic paint markers. I think there's some merit to those. We could do is with our paint holder, we got it where it says TLV 60P, the Varied Life 60 pen holder, and we will get some gold, and we'll do that as the final, since this seems to be working. Ooh, that goes on nice. And it doesn't bleed. If you ever used a Sharpie on PLA, you'll notice that it bleeds really bad, especially with the lighter color PLAs. But this is not bleeding. Nice. I'll show you what that looks like. Boom. How is that? Can you see that? Turned out nice. Okay. So aside from Johnny being all the colors that we have there, the tan. Now you got me wondering about the tan. We've got, it's like a pearl color. I don't think that would be working. We got like a brownish. Could that work as a tan? Oh, that's like a bronze. Of course, we can see through it a little bit. That's not bad. Ooh. That's almost like a gold color. That isn't bad at all. How does that look? That turns out nice. I think this would be a good one for like the tan you were talking about, like a desert. And then you could do some black lines on there and highlights. It's almost like it's like a bronze. That's good. Let's try this one. But that's more of like a flesh color. I'll just go on the back and find some place to. Yeah, that's like a flesh color type of. We can see right on his butt there. So this is a good flesh colored one. It wouldn't be like a desert tan or a khaki. And the other one's going to be too light. The brown we did. The brown might work. Calfex plays. It's got a number of comments. Dun, 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 dun. What are we doing here? Painting a model before putting it together. Her Tamiya cement glue is good. There's one version that glues in like 10 seconds. Really? I need to get some of that. Seems like you need to print a holder that can hold a miniature. Well, I've got that. I just bust them off the base, and that's why. But maybe the smaller one? Yeah, that's not going to work. So close, so close. But that's why they made bases, so you could do that. But yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Something I need too as well. I like the ease in use when it comes to the acrylic pens. Just open the cap and paint. Simple. But it has some limits when it comes to highlighting and washes and so on. Yeah. It's not the end all be all. Looks nice and shiny. Yeah, talking about that on the chest. I really like that bronze color. That comes out really nice. And this tan, we did the brown there. Let's see if we can do a... And the brown is more like a khaki. Oh yeah, that would look good for a desert one. Get some coats on that. And that's something to be said, how this has turned out. That is nice. You can see that. That would be good as well. Let's just do the whole thing, and it's going to have a little bit of a tinge on there, but this is, the brown is actually, would be a good desert color, like you said. That turns out nice. So yeah, nice. You can see that there. That turns out fairly good. Interesting. Interesting indeed. And we got a bunch of other colors. Interesting. Okay, let's see what else we got. Looks nice and shiny. I need to buy some more acrylic pen colors now. I've only got a simple beginner set. Expensive hobby. Always something new to get. Be it paints, miniatures, tools, equipment, printers, filament dryers, wash stations, cure stations, UV lights, UV pens. Yeah, it's just kind of like there's so much that you can buy. And we got a lot of variants of colors, so you could go through kind of like with the purple, and then we've got a lighter purple. Let's see if we can do a little bit of edge highlighting and see if we can get like a Oh yeah. So we can do some edge highlighting. Yeah. Let's see if we can just draw a real faint line. So yeah, you can even do some edge highlighting on this with a slightly different color. Nice. I mean, it's very imperceptible, but it's almost, you could barely see it, but it's still there. Kind of like plays a trick on your eyes. So maybe a lighter. That'd be like too light, but then you have this one here. And let's just go for this one and see what this looks like. And we'll do the same thing, a little bit of a, oops. Oh, that's more like a metallic type. I screwed it up big time. So that's kind of an interesting color. So you do, I screwed up on the front, but you can do a little bit of edge highlighting on this. Meh. Meh. And this one, I don't know, we probably wouldn't want to do that with the blue. But the blue, we could do like a lighter color. We could do the edge. Oh, that's kind of definitely a blue. That would be different. But that works as well. So yeah, you can do some edge highlighting. Interesting. And I like that it's a pen. It seems like I have a little bit more control than with a brush. So not too bad. If you can draw straight, that helps immensely. So you can see we've got a little bit of an edge highlighting thing there. So instead of just a mass amount of like that purple, you could throw in a color to kind of break that up a little bit, bring a little bit of detail. I don't know, can you see that? So yeah, you can do some edge highlighting. Not bad. Interesting. He's just going to be a mishmash of colors. He's going to be like a mutt. Okay, I think we've done enough on this. We played around with this. It seems like we got some good colors. The red is definitely not a good color. I think they could have done better with that. But yeah, overall, not bad. And we did some colors on the PLA that we printed out, a matte black PLA, and we can see that the coverage is pretty good. So yeah, these could come in handy. Again, it's not something that I think would be replace all of your paints. I would say, what is my favorite paint? I would probably say Speed Paint 2.0. Those seems to be my favorite right now, and especially if you have a good zenithal. Speed paints, you can really rock it. You can really do some good stuff with speed paints. But then I still got the Army Painter paints, which are really thick. You really got to shake these up. You got to add a little bit of water to it. And with that being said, with the Army Painter airbrush paints, these work great with brushes because they're basically already watered down. So yeah, there's that. You don't have to airbrush with airbrush paints. You can just mix them up, boom, and paint with a brush, and they work really well on that. So, alrighty. I think we're going to end up doing is we're going to call this. So let's go back to the desk, and we will finish the stream. But with that, I think we did a good job. So we came out with some good stuff. We ended up with checking out how those acrylic pens work. They seem to do a pretty good job. Again, it's not the end all be all. I'm surprised at how well they work. I wouldn't buy acrylic paint pens, and I bought that with my own money. Okay, let's just get that out there. But I wouldn't buy acrylic paint pens and expect that to be the end all be all. Unless you got some lower standards. Or, it's just like, hey, I got some color on there. It's good enough. It's good enough for tabletop play, which, honestly, that could be enough. I think you could go through a batch, strike team, whatever it is. You could use those acrylic paint markers, but you're kind of limited in the colors. And again, I don't like the red. So, because it's not red, it's Hello Kitty red-ish, maybe, pink. Kind of a pastel-y type red. It's not really red. But, yeah, I think they do have a place. It remains to be seen. It definitely works on PLA, so it's got that going for it. But I would say out of all the paints that I have, I'm really digging the Speed Paint 2.0. So that would, if you don't want to spend a lot of time and you want to get some good results quickly, do your black primer, do some white zenithal, put on your speed paints, boom, you're good. And you can get some really, really good results. Let's see what's catch up. Dun, dun, dun. Expensive hobby, always something new to get. Yes, tools, miniatures, machines, yeah. Concept Gaming says, still better hobby than drugs or alcohol. Yes, that's true, and you have more to show for it than a diseased liver or track marks. Calfax Plays says, true, keeps your mind sharp and your wallet empty. Yeah, it keeps me out of trouble. The 3D printing, the hobby, the miniature painting and stuff like that, the resin printing, that all keeps me out of trouble. And I've got a lot of time since I'm retired. Yeah, it works. The strange thing is, Califax Plays says, boom, if we can get this up there. Strange thing about acrylic pens, it just washes over itself so fast, leaving no trace of what's under it. That is true. I was really, really surprised with that. Because usually with acrylic paints, especially with the Army Painter and most other acrylic paints, if you paint it on and it dries, and then you put more paint on top of it, it will reactivate that paint and it will muddy it up. That's not what we saw with this here, because we redid a number of those panels and we did those different colors. I dropped my wallet. And we got some really good coverage. So as we can see there, I mean, it turned out pretty good. the coverage that you can get. And it didn't really reactivate the colors underneath, would, muddy it up. I know the color scheme on this is horrible, but we were just trying out the different colors. But yeah, I was pretty surprised on how well that painted on there. The chest piece in that bronze turned out really, really nice. So I think paint markers might have a place is it worth $27 or $28, whatever I paid for those things? Remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. Dun, dun, dun. Calfix Plate says, while some other paints you can thin out so you can see the paint under as well. That's true. And that's kind of like the Speed Paint 2.0. They're already thinned out to where they're translucent. You can get some of the gradient of the zenithal so that you don't have to blend colors and do all that stuff there's a big learning curve on that. And you can get some really good looking stuff if you know how to blend. But for the average person, you want a good looking model, prime it black, zenithal it, and do speed paints and you're good to go. Looks nice. Yeah, turned out pretty good. Hard to get accurate with an acrylic pen though. Yeah, you just don't, like with brushes, obviously, you can have huge brushes and you can have brushes that are really, really small. You can get into those crevices and those detail areas with the pen tip, you're limited by the pen tip. So as we saw. Nice hobby room. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Next year I'm building one as well. Kind of got this going on. But then I also have the print room. So the print room ends up, I'm not going to be able to add that. The print room has the Creality K2 Plus. We've got the Saturn 3 Ultra. We've got our airbrush station. And we got like a table that's a catch-all full of crap. And I got the K2 Plus sitting on top of a kitchen island thing that I purchased. I'm here in Korea, so cabinets are kind of lower, and I'm 6'2". So this kitchen island was like 39 inches, I think it was, 39 inches tall. So the desk is like 29, so I think it's like, 30 something or whatever. So it's a little bit taller, and the K2 Plus is up, and I'm able to get into it, and I like it. So I'm thinking about getting another one of those. And then that way I can have one of them, and it's got a couple of drawers, got some shelves for storage, which is always good. And then I can have another one. So one wall will just be that. And I'll probably get the Core 1L. I'm looking at getting the Core 1L. So we're saving up our nickels and dimes, and we'll see in my allowance, and we'll see how that goes. But that looks like a really good printer. And honestly, do I need it? Absolutely not. But I'm going to be, and I could just go with another K2 Plus. I mean, then I don't have to worry about carrying replacement parts for two different printers. Boom, we're good to go. K2 Plus, what does that come out to these days? Somebody was telling me it's on sale. K2 Plus. Let's take a look at that and see how much that baby is now. I'm probably saying 1,000. So the K2 Plus pops in at $1,300, dropped from $1,500, so we saved $200, but that's with the CFS as well. But if we just go with the printer, booyah, $1,000. Yeah, $1,100, $1,000. I think that'll come down, especially when we get some more stuff. But then the Core 1L is going to come out to, I think it was like $1,800 for me. So that is going to be it's going to be a little expensive. Let's see. Calfax Place says he's going to be building a hobby room next year. And he says that the P1S went on sale recently too. The P2S is out now. Yeah, so those are going to be coming down. I mean, that's tempting as well. And let's look at that. Let's take a look at the Bamboo P1S. And that is going to be, yeah, that's going on sale. So the P1S, 256 cube, and let's buy it now. And it's in Korean won. I want the United States store. $550. Out of the box, printing in 15 minutes. You've got the AMS2 Pros now compatible with the P1S. So you could go with the AMS2 Pro Combo, which brings it to $639. That's a really good deal. Or the regular P1S Combo, that's $550. And we just get the P1S by itself, that's $400. So it is, yeah, you can get some good deals. You can get some good deals. Ooh, what is the P2S? How much does that cost? What? The P2S is $550, and the combo, okay, combo's $800. That's not bad. But the P2S for $550, that's a decent price as well. So, Califix asked the question, what is it like living in Korea? Well, it's pretty good. Things are a little different. It's like we're in a whole different country. We retired here. My wife was born and raised in Korea. She became a U.S. citizen and then did the military. We stayed in the United States, and then we're looking at overseas retirement. And then we found out that, yeah, we could get a visa to stay over here in Korea. We met the requirements because of the wife's ancestry. And so we sold everything in the United States, popped smoke, and landed here. So we bought this apartment, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. We're close to a U.S. military base. So if we access to, you know, the PX and the commissary military grocery store, there's that. But a lot of stuff we get on the Korean economy. There's open street markets for fresh produce and things like that. We're retired. Everybody else is busy working. So there's not a lot of people like us here in Korea. Though there are a bunch of couples that saw our videos showing what we did on our journey to Korea, and a number of couples have come to Korea and are doing what we're doing. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, we go to the gym 3 or 4 days a week. My wife works out 5 days, so she does 3 days of weight training, 2 days of yoga. I do like 4 days of weight training. And then, yeah, we go on day trips, we go to coffee shops, we, you know, pay bills, you know, we live, we sleep, we clean, do laundry, all of that stuff, pay our utilities. We're paying half of the expenses of what we're paying in Southern Colorado. So yeah, it turns out it's kind of nice. It works out good. Calfax Plays talks about the P2S and that it's on back order. I wonder if this add to the cart. Can we add to the cart? They have 40% off filaments as well. Holy crow, really? Yeah, I was just looking at that. So not only could we buy the P2S for $550, we could get 40% in filaments, 40% off on filament, performance accessories, sure, why not? I would probably Cyber Brick time-lapse kit. Yeah, I could do that. Hot end, have an extra hot end, that's always probably a good thing to have. Engineering plate, probably not. But filaments, okay. PLA basic, And what other options? Okay, so they got some options there. A lot of stuff is sold out. But that's not a bad deal. That is not a bad deal at all. But can we buy it now? Nah, we don't want to do that. Wife would be, what? Where did that money go? What did you do? Concept Gaming says prices are getting better. So much competition out there now, and even better ones are in the making. Yeah. And that's why I'm interested in the Prusa Core 1L, because eventually you're going to have the Bond Tech is going to come out, have multi-heads with that induction heating system, which is crazy. I don't need it, but I want it. So, yeah. But Creality is going to come out with a similar system. Bamboo's probably have been working on that as well. Other companies, you have Snapmaker with their U1. That is a pretty incredible machine. It's just a small build area, but I've heard rumors that they're building a bigger version. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Like you said, there's going to be a lot of competition, and a lot of people are going to be jockeying for position and trying to get that market share. But yeah, very, very interesting stuff. Let me grab my drink. Yeah, it is going to be a good, interesting year in 2026. So, yeah, there's going to be some interesting stuff there. So, future. So we did some awesome 3D printing. We did that. We proved the concept of our pen holder, which, as we can see there, obviously it holds all the pens that we can see, and we're good to go on that. And then we tried out some painting on some of those things. So we did that as well. It works. Not the end all be all, but I think it's a tool in the toolbox. We'll see how often I pull out those acrylic paint pens, but yeah, $27. And then got a bunch of cool people on board, talking and chatting and having a good time. I really appreciate that. With that, we've been at this at almost 3 hours. That's a little bit longer than what I wanted, but again, get to hang around the cool people. Getting around the cool people. So yeah, good stuff. With that, we're probably going to end this up. If you can do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel, that would really help me out a lot, and I would appreciate that. So if you could do that, do me a solid. I would appreciate it. And then if you want to get in touch with me, what you can end up doing is we'll go to the outro page here. There's my email address, officialthevariedlife@gmail.com. If you want to send me information, tips, tricks, links, suggestions, videos, playlists, whatever it is, news, things, stuff, or you want to ask me questions about being in Korea, or you just want to say hi, go for it. I usually answer within 1 or 2 days. So yeah, like being aboard, we'll be doing some more stuff. Next video, we'll probably go back to the FDM printed miniatures that we did, and we'll finish up painting those, and we'll take a look and see if those, you can be the judge on whether those are going to be tabletop ready or ready enough for tabletop. It depends on what your standards are, but they're turning out pretty good. And then eventually we're going to do the build on the Warhammer axe that is printed out and all the parts are sitting in a bag. We've got a 0.2 nozzle coming in from Micro Swiss, so we're going to be doing some more miniatures. I think I'm going to get another enclosure or like hot end kit or whatever that is with the gears, and we'll just have a dedicated one of those for miniatures. Just keep things happy. And then, yeah, the rest of today, because it's the 31st here, and it's New Year's, and Concept Gaming says Happy New Year's to all. Yeah, to you as well. Happy New Year. Yes, yes. And then the axe. Yes. So we'll do the miniatures, or maybe we do the axe, because that would be a fairly simple build. But I have some I don't have activator. It's going to be about 20 days before that activator, CA and activator glue comes in. We'll finish painting the FDM miniatures. We'll do that. And then we'll do the axe. And maybe some other stuff. We'll see. Depends on how many squirrels come into the room. And we'll see how that goes. But anyway, yeah, thank you all for watching and joining the channel. It's been a really good chat. It's been fun. It's been good. We did some good stuff and great people. What else can you ask for? I mean, We're going to have a great new year into 2026. Good stuff in 3D printing, resin printing, all that stuff. And excited and looking forward to being there with you or you with me. All right. Thank you, everybody. We will go ahead and we will sign off. Thank you very much. We will see you on the next video if you subscribed. So do that. Smash the like button. That's your job. My job is to just do more stuff and have fun and enjoy the company. Yeah, the axe, and then George says there will be blood with those spikes. Yes, 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 blood for the blood god. So with that, be safe, everybody. I know some people drink, don't drive at the same time, or drink and drive afterwards. Get a taxi, get an Uber, get a Lyft. Don't get in trouble. We want you to hang around for a long time because I need company. So, yeah, be careful, y'all. We'll see you on the next video, all right? Peace. Good stuff. Good stuff.